In today's video, we'll be doing data cleaning in Excel, which will be the first video in our Excel, SQL, and Tableau project series. Let's dive right into it. Here's the data set that we're using for our project. In this data set, we have two different sheets. Right here, we have the customer sheet, and then this one, we have the order sheet. For the customers, we have the following columns. We have the customer ID, their first name, last name, email, and the state that they're from. And then orders, we have the date, order ID, customer ID, sport, revenue, profit, the shipping cost, and the rating. So what we're going to be focusing on is cleaning up this data set right here in Excel to make sure our analysis in SQL and Tableau is pinpoint and the most accurate it could be. What we want to do first is we want to make sure we remove any duplicates in this data set. I'm going to start off with the customer ID right here. So I'm going to highlight column A, and I'm going to use conditional formatting for this. I'm going to go to highlight cells rules and go to duplicate values. I want it to, any customer ID right here that is a duplicate will come up with a light red fill. Click OK. And I see I have a couple right here. I just want to double check. So I'm going to go to Control-Shift-L. And I'm going to sort by color. And then, okay. So I see I have a couple IDs here that are duplicates. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back, get rid of that. Okay, just go to A to Z again. There we go. Then I'm going to go back to here, take care of the whole entire column. Go now to data and go to remove duplicates up here. Going to remove duplicates. Now it's going to look at all the columns just to double check, make sure it removes all the information we need. We click OK. And perfect. Found 7. And we are good to go. So that's good there. Now we get rid of that. We are good there. Now let's go double check the orders. Same thing. I'm going to go over by customer ID. Double check that. Back to home, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, duplicate values. Okay, and now let's go take a look. Sort by color and nothing there. Okay, so there's no duplicates in this one, so we are all set. So now we are good to go. Now we can clean up our data and do what we need with it. So staying with the customer ID, we see we have some letters to the left of the hyphen. We have some numbers to the right. We want to only keep the numbers. Anything to the left of the hyphen, we could get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called text to columns. So I'm going to go to column B, going to insert. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically splitting the column right down the middle, right where the hyphen is. And by me inserting a new column, whatever is to the right will then go into column B right here. So I'm going to go back to column A, go to data, text to columns right here. Leave that as it is. Go to next. And so it's going to give you some choices. You could do tab, semicolon, comma, space. We're going to go to other and have it already in here as the hyphen. So we're telling Excel we want this column to be split right where the hyphen is, almost at semicolon, where the hyphen is. And because of that, we could see right here, it's split right down the middle, exactly the way we want it. So now we go to next and then finish. And that looks pretty good to me. Now you might see something here. You might see something, okay, why is this all red? And that is because I did not take off the rule that we have for conditional formatting. So we go back here, go to A, let's go back to home, conditional formatting, and we want to clear the rules from the entire sheet. And we're good. Because, like I said, the conditional formatting was set to column A. Anytime that it was going to be any kind of duplicate, it would have turned that shade of red. And of course, because they were all the same, That's why it became that shade. So we're all set here. Now we can just you can drag this over, copy it over, do whatever you want. We don't need column A anymore, so we just take up the entire column and delete. And there we go. So we're all set with the customer ID. Now we have the first name and last name here, and that's great that we have it. However, I would much prefer if we just had one column for the entire name. So I'm going to go go to column D, right click, insert, and I'm just going to call this full name just so we're on the same page. And I'm going to use something called the CONCAT function. And what this is going to do is basically combine both column B and C into just one. So I'm going to click B2, comma, C2, and I'm going to close it up. Click enter. And there we go. So as you can see, we have the full name here. However, there's no space between. And we did the right thing. We did combine the cells. However, we didn't tell Excel that we wanted a space between the two cells. So we're going to go into here, right there. We're going to do some quotation marks, but we're going to put a space between it. Put a space between and put a comma, enter, and there we go. So we told Excel that, okay, we want a space between B2 and C2. And by us doing that, we go to the bottom right, and we're good to go. Now we have space between each of the names. Now, before we move on, we cannot delete these two columns yet. Column D is relying on B and C to give us the result. So we got to do something very important. We have to paste as values. So we're going to right click, we're going to copy, right click again, and paste as values. There we go. Now each cell is on its own. It's not relying on B or C. And now we could delete that. And there we go. Now we're good. We have the email column. There's nothing we don't need it. I'm not going to delete it. We're just not going to do anything with it. It's not going to be useful for anything we're going to be doing. But we're going to leave that there just for now. And now looking at this state column, we have all the states. Everything looks pretty good. If I want to just take a quick look, Control-Shift-L, maybe just take a quick look. If I see something out of the ordinary, anything lowercase, we could see right here, we have some issues here. We see like New York, see that big space right there, and New York spelled fine there. South Carolina, that's because of these extra white spaces between. We have this space here, 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 and there. We want to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that to ensure we have the most accurate analysis possible. So we're going to use something called the trim function to take care of that. We don't have to add in a column since we have all this room right here. We go right here to E2 equals trim. This one's pretty simple. You just click onto the cell, which would be B2. Close that up. Enter. Now, you don't see a difference yet with Florida because Florida and Indiana, Pennsylvania looked okay. Well, let me drag it down right here. And you can see the difference right there. Let me drag it down even a little more. Let's go right here. You can see it took away all the space that was between the text. And now let's just double click. Perfect. And let me drag the state right over. There we go. Now, if you remember, there's one other thing, right? Column E is relying on D for this. So let's go right here, Control-Shift-Down. We're going to copy, paste as values. Perfect. Make sure everything looks all good. And we get rid of column D. Perfect. Good. So we have customer ID is all set. Full name is all good. Email, we didn't have to worry about it. State, we took care of all the extra spaces. So it looks like we're all good for the customers sheet. Now we have to head over to the orders sheet. Now this one could be a little bit different. Similar, but a little bit different. We have right here in the date columns. Now, if you see these right here, it's just basically whatever's in there, the text, numbers, or anything. It's not enough room. So let me just drag it out a little bit. And there you go. So now you can see that The dates are fine. We have the date. This is all of the year 2022. So it's starting from January 1st all the way down to December 31st. However, I don't need the exact, like the day of the week, except Saturday, Sunday. I just need a date. And I don't need it in this format. So all I'm going to do is go back to column A. I'm going to go right here. And currently, it looks like it's in the long date format. I'm going to put in the short date. And that's better. That's better to work with. Much better. That's much better. And there's going to be times that you can use a long date, especially if you want to look at the exact weekday. If you want to look at things like weekends, like that's fine. But for this, keeping it in this format is much, much easier to work with. Moving on to the order ID. Now, this one looks a little straightforward. There's 4 nines, 9, 9, 9, 9, and then the 5 more numbers afterwards. We were told that the order ID is only the last 5 numbers. Anything before that, we do not need. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to use something called the write function to take care of this. So we're going to go to column C. We're going to insert. And I will explain the write function right now. So what we are doing is we are going to start at the end, which would be at this number 1 right here. The write function is you start all the way at the end of the number or the text, whatever you're working with. You are then going to tell Excel, okay, so starting at the end, moving my way to the left, how many characters am I going to bring back? So for example, if I click this and I put comma 1, it's going to return the last number. It's only going to bring back 1 character. So that's 1. Now let me do 3. It's going to bring back the last 3. So the 0, 0, and 1. However, we need the last 5 numbers. So let me just go back in here, go to 5, enter. Perfect. We're good to go. Let me bring that down. Looks good to go. Good to me. Yep. Now, same thing. This column is relying on B for this. So let's just right click, copy, paste as values. Very good. We can bring over the order ID right here. And we could get rid of this column. Perfect. Good. Very, very good. So order ID is all set. Let me turn that to a number. That's good. Cool. So the date's all good. Order ID is all good. Now the customer ID, it's the same situation. Same exact situation as before. We will do text to columns again. So let me just insert. There we go. Column C. Go back to data. Text to columns. Good. Next. Same thing. It should be it should be preset for you since the last time you used it, we used the hyphen. So this should be all good. Next. Finish. Perfect. Now same thing, right? Like before, we did not take off the conditional formatting for this. So let's just go back to home. Conditional formatting. Clear rules from the entire sheet. Good. Same thing. Drag over customer ID here. And we could get rid of this. So it's important to remember that with text to columns, we're not creating a formula. We're not relying on another column to get us the result. With the formulas or functions, most of the time you are. So that's a reminder of checking to see, before you're deleting anything, before you're copying and pasting, to ensuring that your work will not get lost or ruined in the process. So we're all good with the date, order ID, customer ID. Now with the sport, let me just take a look to see what sports we're working with here. We got baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and soccer. Okay, so everything looks okay. Spelling's fine. Nothing's wrong. I just want to capitalize each one. I just want to make it easier. I don't want to get into Tableau and have to do any kind of labeling like that. I just want to make it a little bit easier on us. So I'm going to go to get rid of Control-Shift-L. There we go. Going to insert. I'm going to use something called proper. And all this is going to do is it converts the text string into a proper case. So it's all going to do is just capitalize the first letter. There we go. Perfect, and you see that right there. Perfect, everything looks great. Now, like I said, it's relying on column D, so let's copy and paste as values. Good. Drag it over and get rid of column D. Perfect, good. So we're almost there. So we, like I said, we worked on date, order ID, customer ID, and sport. Now looking at revenue and profit, everything looks okay. I don't see any issues again. I don't see anything wrong. Everything's in the right format. No crazy 7-8 decimals. Nothing going off like anything crazy. So looks good. Okay to me. Yeah, looks okay to me. Okay, nice and easy. Not bad. Now for the shipping costs, it looks like, let me double check this. It looks like we don't have anything in here. Okay, it's all blanks. We were told though beforehand that there was something wrong with this column. So the company, you have to pay for shipping if the order is less than $49 and the shipping cost is $7. If the order is over $49, there is no shipping. So we want to make sure that when we enter data into this column that we are using an if function to do this. So we're going to do equals if, and revenue is how much that they paid. That's how much the customer paid for the order. So we're going to go click E2. If E2 is less than 49, let's ask, okay, if that is true, what will be the value? The value will be 7. And well, if it's not true, what if it's above? Then we are going to put 0. Close that. Perfect. And we can see that, right? 183 is above 49. Now let me go. Let's see. We have 45. Okay, let's see this. There we go. See that? Because the $45 is less than 49, that person was charged for shipping. So let's apply that to the rest. Perfect. We're going to copy, paste as values. Perfect. That's amazing. If statements are definitely very helpful for situations like that where you have to put data in a certain way, where you want to use a certain criteria. It's definitely very, very useful, and so many situations I've had to use it, and that's a great one right there. So we have the rating. I want to explain this a little bit. The customer rating is based on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 meaning the lowest, 5 being the highest. Some customers gave a review, some didn't. So if you don't see anything in here, that is because the customer did not leave a review. We're going to leave this column right now the way it is. We'll explore this more in SQL. But for right now, just double checking everything. I mean, everything looks pretty good to me. Like I said, we worked on customer ID. We combined the first and last name. We didn't touch the email. We took care of the extra spaces in the state column. In orders, we changed the date from long to short form. We worked on the order ID, customer ID. We capitalized the sport. Revenue profit, we're good to go. And we used an if statement to figure out the shipping costs for each order. Make sure to check out my next video where we will import this Excel worksheet right into SQL, where we will look for more insights and trends among this data. See y'all there.